There you go. Here we go. Welcome to this week's Writers Chat, where a bunch of writers get together and we talk about all things writers, for writers, and by writers. I'm your co-host, Jean Wise, and my co-host is Johnny Alexander. Bethany won't be with us today, and we're the three regular ones, but we asked a lot of you guys to stay on with us today because we're going to talk kind of like, this is going to be the after party after our very first serious writer conference.
I know, yeah.
And it was the Ohio Christian Writers Conference held just last week. So we're going to do a little talking, a little sharing what you learned and stuff like that. And also, for those of you that may not have been there, we hope to share some tips with you and talk a little bit about what should you do after a conference, because you're a mix of excited and overwhelmed and exhausted. So anyway, welcome to us today, and we hope you're either going to enjoy being with us live or on the replay. And we'll get the replay up sometime a little bit later and stuff. So let's just say, let's start. What was some highlights of the Ohio Christian Writers Conference for you guys? And I don't know, what do you think? Johnny, let's start with you, Johnny, and then we'll kind of see. Raise your hand if you have something then after that, and we'll kind of call on people. That way we don't talk over each other so much. Johnny, why don't you start and give us something you shared or highlight?
I'm going to start. Okay. Of course, there was so much, right? I mean, there are just all these things, all the people you get to meet. I got to, do appointments. I got to talk to different people about their story ideas, and it was just fabulous. It was a wonderful time. Michelle Medlock Adams, great author, children's book author, speaker. She did a keynote, and I think as much as I love the other keynotes too, something in it just really resonated with me. And that was when she talked about making her list of 6 things that she wanted God to do for her. And, so often we're kind of afraid to say, just to blurt it out, God, I want you to do this for me. And how as time went on, I think she said she's now on her 5th or 6th list, and each list only has 5 or 6 things. So that has just been going round and round in my head, because I'm sort of those of you who know, I'm kind of at this crossroads where I'm living in like 2 different places. I'm not sure where I'm going to be and all this kind of stuff. But so I was really thinking about that, and I drove home. Well, I didn't even drive home. I drove part of the way Sunday to east of Nashville, so I just would have another night just sort of to soak things up, and was praying about that. And then the next morning, before I got on the road to come here, I actually made my list. And then, though, also I had started a new, this is so cool. I had started a new YouVersion Bible plan. I do different plans through that. And it was something about the sun standing still by Stephen Furtick. So yesterday, I don't mean to turn this into a devotional, but it is going to kind of be one. Yesterday, it's talked about Joshua asking God, and he just says, Joshua sizes up the situation and delivers one of the most gloriously unorthodox prayers in the Bible. He has the audacity to ask God to make the sun stop in the sky. To freeze time on behalf of his people. Robin.
I'm in a classroom. I want you to know that I read that book right before I had my brain tumor, and that audacity thinking got me through, because I had the audacity to ask God to bring me a miracle.
Where the eye doctor
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's a great book. That's a great book.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So then it was just like, okay, it's okay for me to do that. And I actually think I read that, and then I wrote in my journal and wrote the 6 things. And they're not big. I mean, they're nothing like having the sun stand still, and the moon stop in the sky. But it was like, oh, wow, that's just God's affirmation that, yeah, this really is okay for you to do this. Ask me for what you want. And then in today's, it's the same plan, day 2 of the same plan. He says, when you strip the biblical miracles of their spectacular special effects, a common plot point emerges. Extraordinary moves of God begin with ordinary acts of obedience. And it just goes on. He's talking about Moses. Moses didn't have to turn to the bush. He was herding sheep, a stinky job, and he could have stayed doing that. He could have just stayed there. Just that simple act of obedience of taking off his shoes, and then look what happens. And we just never know what, just by being obedient, what's going to happen. So
What's the name of the book again? One more time. What's the name of the book one more time?
I'm not sure I remember this.
Sun Stands Still by Stephen Furtick.
Thank you.
Okay.
Stephen Furtick, Furtick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing the YouVersion Bible Plan. If you're on that app, it's a great app anyway, and it's a plan I would recommend. I've only done 2 days, but it just seems like it's just fitting exactly what's going on in my world right now. So that's pretty fun. So that was I think that was the thing that's just really stuck with me, and that's sort of helping me get some direction with where I'm going, just with life in general, and also with writing in particular, what I'm asking God for.
Yeah. So you made your list of what, 6 things?
Mm-hmm.
And that is really cool. We got to share that with Michelle.
Yes, yeah. I already have written to her, just thanking her for that. So yeah, it meant a lot to me.
Yeah, she made a thing about a comment that Noah, and that whole thing with Noah was in the middle of obedience, and all we can do is sometimes obey the very next step, and it sounds like that's what you did, Johnny. That's cool. That's really cool. Who else wants to share something that they learned, or a tip, or something that you're doing? Robin.
I like that we were not restricted in a box. I like the fact that Jillian was there to cover Instagram. That's totally not in the box of writing, but it's in the box of writing. It's the total writer care is what I call that, because nurses are charged to do total patient care.
Mm-hmm.
I always love that term, total patient care. So that's everything. And this conference did total writer care.
Oh.
I like that.
Except the massages. We could have used a massage. No, I'm joking. You're right. I agree with you, Robin.
Vicki, you ought to write that down. That's a great phrase.
I have written
Total
it.
writer care. It is. It's a great phrase.
Well, when we do our evaluations, I'm just going to put it in there too. So it is going to be there.
That is cool. That is really, really cool. Someone else have something that they want to share that they learned? Sherilyn?
Well, I learned that writers can be funny and fun. I mean, if anybody has not watched the videos, Kyle and Cody can I say I thought I was going to wet my pants. They made me laugh so hard. And the instructors that we had, like Bob Hostetler and Edie Melson and everybody, I didn't get to go to all the classes I wanted to, but I went to those 2 classes and they were phenomenal. Edie on the classes of, story world, where your story takes place and how important details are and how important writing for the genre is, and just her, and then Bob Hostetler's business, the writer's business. And I wasn't taking my writing seriously enough. I mean, the writing part, yeah. I mean, I'm starting to. I'm actually wrote that many words for NaNoWriMo, and I can actually say NaNoWriMo now. But I mean, the having a separate money account, and Michelle Medlock Adams' husband getting up and talking to us about taxes. But I knew that's something that I need to know and I need to learn. There's such important stuff that you guys incorporated, like Robin was saying, total writer care, where you guys didn't just cover grammar and things like that, and we sold each other's books and bought each other's books and talked. You covered a full gamut, which is awesome.
That is great.
Wonderful.
And we should put on here, because we haven't done it. Bethany's joined us by phone, so everybody say hi to Bethany, because I don't think she can see the chat. So,
Hey, Bethany.
Hi, Bethany.
She's in a place with lousy internet, so at least she's trying to listen by phone. And let's do a cheer with our mugs, those of us who have them. Yay! Yay! Whoop, I should hold it this way, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
There you go. Good stuff. We're all drinking out of our mugs today. But
And are you drinking coffee? Serious writer coffee?
mine's, well, we do. No, not hers was something else, I think, but it is coffee. It is
That's
coffee.
good.
That was
Renee,
great
you
too,
had somebody
getting
sneak
coffee.
behind you down the hallway. I just saw somebody. on that. Well, I'll just share real quick. The thing I like to always get at writers' conferences is I come back with a list of ideas, something to do, like the next step. I came back with blog post ideas, and Cheryl Lynn gave us a bunch of ideas for some future writers chats, and I wrote those down, and I haven't done my thank you notes yet. So let's do a minute. But Johnny, you mentioned you wrote notes. What did you do? And we'll see if anybody else wrote thank you notes. What did you wrote some people afterwards?
I wrote to Michelle. I just
Okay.
sent a message to her. No, I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm sorry to say. I just
I haven't either.
writing any other notes. Yeah, I just have the notes that I took from the conference, and I'm not sure I know where they are, but again, I'm not real settled yet, and I've got a book deadline Thursday night, so it's like, oh,
You're gonna do that first.
yeah, that's sort of my big rock in my jar right now. Is that?
Well, I have here on my desk a bunch of the business cards, especially of some of the newer writers that I met that I want to drop lines to and kind of connect that way. And that's kind of about next thing on my desk. And I just lined them up here, right here on the side of my desk for work this afternoon. Robin, what do you have?
I've got my business cards right here. I just write them an email, just say how much I appreciated meeting them,
That's a sweet thing to do.
try to remember who they were. And the sooner I do it, the more I remember.
Yeah.
So I can remember how I can encourage them and how I can let them know they impressed me. So some of you will be receiving a quick one, but it's,
Robin, tell them about our connection.
oh,
This is a great story.
this is a great story. Lisa just started a Word Weavers group in Kent, Ohio. And when I saw that on Facebook, I thought, oh, I used to live in Kent. So I contacted her. We FaceTimed or instant message, direct messaged for a while. Yeah.
There's Lisa's card.
Yeah. Yes. And made sure, we found out that we were both going to be at this conference. So we made sure to connect while we were there. And we were sitting there just getting to know each other a little bit. And she told me that she lived in Kent. And I said, oh, I used to live in Kent about 10 years ago. And I said, I lived on this one street. And she looked at me. She said, I live on that street. My address was 1065 and hers is 1164. So I'm sure I walked my dog by her house many times.
Yep.
It is such a small world.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is, and what a neat, you'll always be linked that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll always remember that.
Yeah. And
Vicky
where we
and I
meet
had
for
something
our,
like that too. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry,
Lisa.
where we meet for our Word Weavers is where Robin came and did a book signing a number of years ago. So the connection is wonderful. The connections, that's a big thing.
It's those dots. We keep, God has a plan and he keeps pulling people together and up. No, it's fun.
Yeah. And it was a joy to meet some of you guys in person and
Absolutely.
hug. We've kind of gotten to know each other here, those of us that we knew before, but to meet you in person, oh my gosh, that was priceless. That was just priceless. Tina's put in the chat room that she files her business cards in a photo album. You can get special, what do I want to call page fillers?
Yeah.
Just for business cards. But I have to keep mine out till I finish them. Write them a note. And Robin, you got a good tip there to do it sooner than later
Sooner than later.
or after your deadline. Right after your deadline.
Yes.
Right after Johnny.
We're talking to you, Johnny.
Okay. I know you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like I got here and 2 hours later my sister left. So it's just been kind of a whirlwind, here's all the things I need to do while she's gone and, da, 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 da. I was going to say, Vicki and I found out a similar kind of thing too. She was a student at Pensacola Christian College the 1 year my husband taught there.
We did not know that till we got to the conference, and we talk all the time. So
Oh, wow.
that's fun.
Did you take any of his courses?
No.
No.
That would have been a hoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But that, and Sophia's being honest with us here that she went to her first writers conference last May. No business cards, no clue, and you learned, don't you, Sophia? You learned.
That we've all done that. I mean,
We've
really,
all
the first
done
conference is just like you just go and you just.
Well, talked a little bit about. Anybody can jump in anytime on sharing anything too, but about how do we regroup after a conference? Johnny's come back to an awful deadline, and sometimes you don't get the gift of time to regroup, or you're exhausted or whatever. Any tips, anything that you find helpful to regroup after a writer's conference? Dead silence. Rob?
I just spent the last hour and a half. Well, I stayed with a friend, and I stayed an extra day. So I drove home yesterday, and the leaves just came down like crazy. My yard is orange. So I went out and I blew leaves for about an hour and a half, and I prayed and I thought about what I learned. So it was just kind of a mindless thing to really just think through everything. And now I'm ready to just start writing everything down again and looking through my notes. It was a nice breather. It was a good refresh.
Good. And that's somewhat like Johnny said, driving home when she had that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Me
nice
too.
to have
Me
an
too.
extra.
Me too, Robin.
There were so many people there.
Mhm.
I do well with people in little bites.
Mhm.
And maybe a lot of writers are like that too. So to have a lot of people for hours at a time, I just needed to pull back and just kind of my drive home was just so wonderful. It was 6 hours. Some of it was in silence because I just needed that time, like Lisa was saying, just to regroup and think and ponder and God, what did you want for me? And this is what I want for you. And this is how can we meet, and can I do your will? And all those conversations that you have, that you're just wide open. Mm-hmm. Peace and quiet is the moment after you're done.
I know at our dinner table one night, one of the ladies said that she was an extrovert, but she found she had to go to a corner by herself for 10 minutes that day. I think it was that last full day. She needed that time apart, just kind of to collect herself. And she was an extrovert. So I can figure, the rest of us around the table said we were introverts. And,
Well, I know you've all heard this, but going to a conference like this is like drinking out of a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, it can be overwhelming if you just don't step back and chew a little bit.
And Tina commented about praying to set priorities. We come up sometimes with 20,000 ideas or guest posts we want to write. My list is endless of some. It won't all get done, period. It won't all get done. And it won't all get done now, definitely.
That's okay.
Yeah. Give ourselves some grace on that. Hey, Renee, what would you like to share about the conference?
Well, I've learned so much, I don't even know where to start.
Pick something.
I think the two things that really hit home to me was Edie's talk on fear. You have that fear of failure and the fear of success, because being an introvert, being in any kind of fishbowl is terrifying.
Yeah.
To me. But at the same time, after hearing Bob's talk, his keynote about what kind of impact can we be having if we get our work out there, and if we don't get our word out there, who's going to be impacted in a negative way?
Yeah.
That was powerful.
That hit me hard.
I mean,
hard.
That is just so huge, because one of my pieces, the piece that kicked me into my writing and taking it seriously, is all about touching children that feel unloved and unwanted, and like they have no control over anything, because that's where my main character is. And getting that story out there that God loves you, and he wants you to know that he loves you, And he's in control even when life is at its ugliest. You know, so that really motivated me, and I pitched really badly to the point where when I pitched to Bob, he corrected me about my pitch, but then he told me what he was interested in. So I had an opportunity there, and I have several opportunities that I'm just overwhelmed at how God blew doors open for me, and now I'm scared to death about going through them.
Aww.
And remembering everything, but I have to do it.
Yes. Yes.
And confirm that this whole weekend. So it was fruitful.
Michelle's talk on fear. I wrote the two of the phrases down to share today, and it was fear rewrites history.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was powerful, that how, fear always tells us the lies, doesn't tell us the truth. It rewrites history. And I thought that was a powerful line. And that it thrives in secret places. So that's why she talked about journaling, saying, get that fear out, Renee, write about it,
Yeah. And then this morning when I was having my quiet time, God had me in Romans 8. Where he did not give us a spirit of fear, of timidity.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, okay, God, put me to the test here, put me to work,
Yeah. And be that courage. It's
Go ahead.
writing's hard sometimes. We become very vulnerable, and it takes work. And I think sometimes we get discouraged by ourselves. Sometimes we get discouraged at writers' conferences when we see what other people have done, that darn comparison game,
That's true.
Yeah. So
I appreciate Renee just telling us that she messed up her pitch, because again, we have all done that. I mean, it's like, you just want to knock yourself out or something, but it's like, you know what, when you do those kinds of things, you just pick up, it's a learning experience, and you go on. It is not the end of the world. So, thanks for, being brave and courageous enough to say, hey, I blew it, but it's okay. And I'm glad Bob was so kind to help you with that too.
he was
because I did what Michelle said, and I put on my sassy pants and I sat down in front of him and I said, well, I'm here hoping to be one of your select children's writers.
Hey,
Good.
good for you.
Said, well, you're probably going to go away crying. And I said, yep, I probably am.
I love it.
Yes, sassy hat.
I
That's
love
cute.
it. I love it. Which one was it? Was it Michelle that said about having your one sheet and not just one idea, but have multiple?
Michelle.
Hi, Deborah. Have multiple ideas there, and I had bullet points of.
I didn't have anything written down. I was the most unprepared person that could have ever been there. But I knew what I had, and I know the different things that I can offer, and he picked the one that I really hoped he would pick.
Good.
So, not that the other work is, not something I want to get out there too, but this one's the one of my heart. So.
Yeah, that is
Well,
great.
congrats. That's wonderful news.
That is great.
It's God, it's not me. Bad job. I did a bad job.
Well, and Vicki, who was the lady that read the children's book as part of the devotion?
Amy Laskowski.
Amy
Laskowski.
And
Yeah, that was good.
For those of you that weren't there, she read the book. I got the name of the book from her. Waiting is hard.
Waiting is hard.
Very good book.
Mo Williams is the
Oh, the sermon.
I'm going to use it. I do the children messages at our church. I'm going to use that the first Sunday of Advent, because I think, and I'm not going to tell them the end. I'm going to make them like she stopped. I'm going to steal that idea, and stop and talk about Advent, and then maybe
That's perfect.
That's a good time.
it's perfect for Advent. So she was coming up the row, and I said, "Tell me the name of that book again." She showed it to me. It's already ordered. It'll be here tomorrow, I think, from Amazon. But she used a line that was powerful, that every rejection is God's protection.
Yes.
And the one that Johnny just put in, writing is only one typo away from waiting.
I like
love
that.
it.
That was great.
Wow.
I think that went viral. I think several of us were
Yeah.
putting that on Facebook and on Twitter and stuff. So yeah, that one was great too. I like the rejection protection too. And I had a rejection just recently, and as I was journaling stuff, it was like, okay, that's what that was. You know, that's exactly what that was. And,
Yeah.
you know,
So-
it's a good way to think of it. You're being protected from something, you just don't know what.
You don't know what.
You may never know what.
And
So-
it's hard to be rejected. We're all been there. Right. That's part of our fear, right, Renee? You know, we
Yeah,
are going to get
I
rejected.
try to remember that I'm writing for a purpose, and my purpose is to write what God wants me to write. So if I put it out there and a publisher doesn't pick it up, he's not rejecting me. It's that's not where I'm supposed to publish with. So and God's working with me on a time. I'm building something. I'm waiting. You know, I'm standing and waiting. So it's not about me, I think is the bottom line.
Yes.
It's about what God's got planned.
Amen.
That's true. She also said one other thing, that the enemy would love to have us waste time while we wait.
Mm.
And that really hit me because when I get discouraged, I just don't do anything, and that's wasting time. And when we could get out and write the next story or write the next query letter or at least clean our desks off on that. But I thought that was just, the enemy would love to have us waste time while we wait. And waiting's hard. It's a hard time. And we're coming up, that's perfect thing that with Advent coming up, it's a time of wait and stuff like that. I'm curious, Vicki, your response, since you were seeing the before, during, after, and all the cleanup.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's definitely different than being on the receiving end of a conference. But it was fantastic, and I enjoyed it immensely, especially once it was over. Kyle and Cody kept saying, we want to have fun, we want to have fun while we're doing it. It's great fun while we're doing it. And I'm like, it's great fun when it's over for me. Then I know I accomplished what I needed to. But the process was great, and working with the team has been wonderful because we each have a different perspective and a different something we bring to the table, and it all works together really well. And we just enjoy being with each other, which makes all the difference in the world. But the Lord he took, any little things, any bumps or things that happened, and just made it all smooth, and it worked really, really well. And we've heard lots of really good things. I mean, I'm sure there's things that can be improved for the next time, and we'll keep improving as we go. But really, it was an enjoyable time. And I loved having the chance to teach, just to get away from that, management role for a little while, and just to go and teach my workshop. That was loads of fun. I enjoyed it. And the class was great. They interacted really well. And so it was a good experience for me too.
Vicki really needs a lot of credit, because it's true that there was a team, but she was the one doing all the details. I mean, you have the big picture people and the fun people, and they all worked really, really hard. I'm not taking anything away from the others.
Yeah.
But she was the one that had to make sure it all ran like clockwork.
The recorder.
What they call the recorder, because she never forgets anything either, according to Bethany. But anyway, yeah, Vicki did a phenomenal job, and it's not easy. I mean, she was there late, and her daughter got sick, and so, she was also dealing with that, and in charge of the coffee and just all kinds of things. So, thank you, Vicki, for just everything you did just to make this conference.
Yeah, it was amazing.
There needed to be
For
more
our
Vicki.
first conference, you got to think, because they started from scratch. Of course, they've been to conferences before, but for our first conference, it was amazingly organized. So,
And they put it together in 5 months, right? 5 months.
It takes a
Very
year to do
detailed.
those.
Very detailed too. I love
Yeah.
the little details of giving the bags to everybody with the little chocolates in them, and a bag of coffee and a mug, and then the lanyards. I mean, the girls had the little pink stones. Yeah, we all wanted to show our mugs again.
Yes.
They're available at the Serious Writer Bookstore.
They are. Yes, you can buy your own if you didn't get one yet.
But you guys, Vicki, I've been to so many conferences, not just writing conferences, but women's conferences, and spoken at them. And You guys did do a phenomenal job. And anything that any of the little details are just that, little details that need to be tweaked, nothing major.
Okay, great. What? Go ahead. Yay!
Yeah. We survived.
Let's talk a little bit about like after writing conferences and even in general and stuff.
So before you do that, because I know you're not going to say this, Jeannie was the spiritual director of the conference too, and we, it was announced from the stage that she and I believe Sherilyn too were available to pray with people, and I know I would look across when you're putting this thing. Jeannie's table was way over here, and she would have her hand on someone's shoulder and be praying with them, and just how beautiful that was. So that's something the conference offered too that you don't always see at conferences, and I just appreciate both.
Thanks, Jean.
Thank you
for being such prayer warriors.
That was a gift to me. It was just amazing, and it would be again. It just shows how when you stay open. I had some openings on that list, and people would just drop in. Those are the ones that needed it, and a couple of them texted me, can you talk? And so we would go off and find a corner that nobody would ever know, so there was so much of that was going on. And it was just, you find that at a lot of Christian writers conferences. And I'm glad this one was bathed in prayer like it was too. So I think
there were people like me that should have come and had prayer.
You were covered anyway. I prayed for everybody. And actually, I told him that Vicki had sent me the list at least several weeks ago. I know there were others on there. I made a commitment that I'd pray for them at least for a couple more weeks. So they got prayed for this morning again, so it's kind of neat to do that before and after. So that's kind of my after the conference.
Hi, this is Robin.
To soak that into prayer and stuff. Okay, after the conference or after any writer's conference, I think there's some exhaustion. How do you create the white space to take care of yourself and to take the next step? Let's do some idea brainstorming on that.
I think some of us have said that, taking an extra day or an extra, long time to get back to where we belong, just can be a help. I really appreciated, because I could have made it back in one day, but I would have been late and I would have been tired and driving in the dark, which I'm not ever happy about. But it was just nice to have one more day and a day to kind of sleep in a little bit, not being awakened by dogs that want to go outside, and just having that time I actually woke up earlier than I thought I would, and having the time to just to journal and have a very quiet, intimate time with God before I got up and got on the road. And I love what Robin said too, just about driving in quiet. And it was beautiful. I mean, the trees, and I was driving kind of through, I think the foothills of the Appalachians, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful drive, and the trees are so gorgeous. Some of you may, I live in Florida most of the time, so I don't see that, and I just loved it. It was just beautiful.
So, it's Renee shared that she came home to a family crisis and stuff, and that had to have been hard to come face to face with something. So I've always tried to X out on my calendar a couple of days afterwards, but I'm kind of like Renee. You get back home and you get hit with it. It's hard to protect that time to allow yourself some recovery time. And it doesn't always work, does it, Renee? It doesn't always work on that. We have somebody's phone going. Ooh.
Whose is that?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I've never seen Johnny do jazz hands. I like that, Johnny.
New sound.
And it's on the recording.
Why not? We go with the flow. Maybe that was the lesson. We go with the flow, Renee.
Right.
And try to allow ourselves grace. Go ahead.
I always expect something's going to happen when I get home. I'm not saying that I'm pessimistic, But Renee, Saturday night, I got a call about a family crisis as well. And because I realized the enemy's working and life is going to throw us a curveball, you know, I think we all expect that. It didn't, I mean, my heart was broken, but I wasn't caught off guard to where it hit me so hard that I was taken out of the game for the night. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I expect that now. It seems like every time I come back from a conference or a mountaintop experience, it's like Satan swoops in and tries to push me in the valley. But God's in the valley, God's in the pit, and God's on the mountaintop.
I think that's excellent advice, and because my expectations are to have those 2 days to regroup. It's probably false expectations.
I spent mine in the airport.
Yeah.
But I got writing done.
Yay.
Yeah, you spend it for something good. So that's true. That is true. So maybe that's the wisdom we could take from this, that, you know, after any big event, including a writers' conference, expect the unexpected too when you get home. Try for it, but go with it when it happens. That's good. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom.
And I think we should continue to pray for each other, like you said, Jeannie. I try to pray for us every day too, and not just during writing conferences, but every day, because we're not just writers. We're children of God first, and some of us are wives and husbands and have kids and things like that. And sometimes our writing gets pushed down to the bottom. So, you know, I pray that God will help us to prioritize and take care of all that other stuff, because he wants us to write. He'll give us the time.
That's right. That's right. Johnny, do you want to talk about what you put in the chat room? I thought that was.
Oh, yeah. I'm you know, you'll just hear different, you know, people talk how hard it was to get to the conference. They have all their plans made, and then they fall apart, or obstacles come up, and, you know, you just, it seems like it hits you at both ends. You know, it's like Satan doesn't want you to go, so he tries to put up those barriers, but you get there anyway, and then, you know, something might hit you on the opposite end as well. So you just have to know that this is such a holy time, and he does not want you there. I mean, even if the conference doesn't go maybe the way you hoped it would, still you were there, and you learned things, and hopefully you were inspired and energized, and, you know, just wanting to do great things for God, and knowing God has a plan for your life. And it's hard, and we just want to pray for you, Renee, and Sherilyn, and everybody who's just came home to something that's not fun, because that's it's you know what it is. It shows that it really shows, though, that God has something for you, and that's why you're being attacked right now. So protection, praise protection around you.
Amen to that. Amen. Vicki, is there something that you want to ask us, that those of that were there, that you would like feedback on?
Definitely want to hear the highs and the lows. Like, what was, maybe if everybody could just like give a high and a low, and if it's something that can be tweaked or fixed or made better, then that's definitely, you know, what the team would want anyway. So yeah, I'd love to hear.
Okay. Anybody want to jump in? Are you talking, Robin? You're muted.
Nope.
Here we go. There you go, Robin.
Are you going to be sending out a notice or an email as far as feedback, or are we going to just like share?
Yeah, the surveys are going to go out this week.
Okay.
But if you want to share something now, that's great too.
Anybody want to share a high or a low or a tweak? Because Vicki's willing to listen. Robin.
I love the name tags. I want them bigger, and the lanyard bigger, so we could put our business cards in them.
Yes, that's a good one.
I thought
And
the same thing.
and I loved the interviews. That's something I'd never seen. The new.
That was good.
That's excellent, because that's just a step. Yes. Oh, I could do that. That's not that difficult. I could do that. So,
I love the interviews. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was an unexpected treat, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff. Someone else have something they want to share, high or low? Oh.
I love that coffee was available all the time. I just thought you guys did a phenomenal job, and any little things that I thought needed tweaked. I told Vicki, and I think one of them was just that the names, you couldn't see the name, you could not see the names on the name tags. I mean, that's like little stuff.
Yeah.
This is all tweaking.
Yeah, I thought the music was great. I loved Michelle's son-in-law. I hope he comes more often because he's just so anointed. I mean, he sings a mixture of, what I liked was that he sang a mixture of hymns for those of us who like hymns, but I also like praise and worship. But there's some older writers who just like hymns, but he ministered to everybody. That's what I liked.
I thought the humor, we kind of mentioned that earlier, but it was fun to laugh, and that kind of built community, I think, so that they were more than silly, but even some of the video clips they showed, that was just, I found that delightful. I'm
going to have to leave. Kids.
Okay.
Bye, Robin.
Bye, Robin. Hey, real quick, and we'll say this while we still got the recording going too, is next week, if I remember right, Johnny?
Yes.
It's Tina, who is going to be with us, and they're going to talk. Tell us, Johnny.
Tina Yeager will be with us, and we're going to be talking about creativity and brain health. So you will not want to miss that.
Brain health. I like brain health.
I'm excited about that. Tina is a family therapist and life coach, I believe, and she was very beneficial to me a few years ago when I was developing a character who had a specific problem that I knew nothing about, and she helped me with that. And I think now she does that for other writers too. So it's cool, and it's going to be great to get her insights on creativity and brain health.
Yeah. Bye, Robin. Thanks for joining us today. And I think you also talked a little bit about with the creativity, the right brain, left brain, which we talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago, and that's what gave us the idea for next week's show on that way. I think we're slowing up here a little bit today. Does anybody have anything else they want to add while we still got the recording going about the conference? Something that you learned, something you share, next steps? We might just end the recording early and go into the after party.
I talk all the time, so I didn't really
talk one more, a little bit more while we're on the air. While we're still recording.
I really enjoyed the variety that they had for the variety of instructors, the variety of topics, the quality of the instructors. I mean, it was wonderful. And one of the things I liked the most about it was the price.
Yeah.
Despite everything else. And that you are going to do a tour. And I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is people who are listening, if they want a tour to come to their area, I'm sure Vicki would not mind having you email her, because I just think it's just wonderful. I mean, I had few people from that area come up to me and say, I would never go to a conference until it came here, and I'm so glad I came. That was, just making it available.
Vicki, go ahead. Vicki, can you tell us about the upcoming tours?
Yes. So far we have 3 locations confirmed. We've got Tampa in December. We have Memphis in January, and we have Tallahassee in February. We've got several others on the plate. Just we have to get them put on the calendar and who's going where beyond that. But those 3 are confirmed.
And tell for people who don't know what the tour is, what that means by what is a Serious Writer tour.
Well, a tour stop is going to be just basically a one-day conference. So we'll start early in the morning, get registered, have kind of a main session, and then we'll have our breakouts. So there will be 2 or 3 different local authors, regional people that are in your area already that will teach workshops throughout the day. We'll have lunch. We'll have another kind of get together, everybody together, and then finish the day. Just kind of like a writer's conference would, with main sessions, but then with your breakouts as well, based on what you're interested in doing. And then have a bookstore and close out the day. So just everything all kind of consolidated into one day maybe more manageable for the average person maybe that works during the week. For beginners who don't know what to take to a conference, like you don't know that you need business cards or one sheets or what a proposal is all about, all those different things that maybe would be the first step before somebody goes to a bigger conference.
I think that's going to be a really help for somebody that's not been to a larger conference before. It's kind of the baby step before the big step. So that when they do sit down and talk to an agent, they've got stuff ready. They got the one sheet ready, for example.
Right.
So there are no appointments at the one-day stops?
We're thinking right now, no, because you really would just want
fit
to,
it in?
right, you'd have to first figure out how to fit it in, and then you're really trying to prepare people for what that would look like. We may add them later just to give people practice, for how to do that, because I think that that's really helpful. But at this time, we're thinking no appointments at this time.
Yeah, it'd be hard to get that in.
Yeah.
So one day is pretty packed already.
Right.
Yeah. I did think of one tweak though too, Vicki and stuff. I was disappointed that the agent and editorial publisher panel wasn't a separate section.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. I thought about that too.
Yeah.
It needs to be a totally separate thing so everybody can attend.
Yeah. Most of the conferences I've been before, it's been like one of the main, it's been one session for everybody, because it's usually so much neat information. Almost everybody wants to hear that and stuff. And that not like as a workshop, not scheduled. So just FYI, I remember seeing that. You thought the same thing, huh, Sherilyn?
I actually mentioned it to Cody.
Okay.
I mentioned it to Cody, and he said, yeah, he agreed with that too. But I mean, for the first conference, it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I would rate it an A+. I seriously would, not just because I'm part of the team or anything like that, but I went in looking like I was trying to feel like I was an outsider, observing everything. And I thought it was phenomenal. Hi, kitty.
There's a baby.
Yeah, on that way. Okay. I'm going to close the recording here. Oh, we got all sorts of cat. For those of you that are just listening that don't see this, everybody's showing their kitty cat. I don't have
Mine are all still asleep. Yay.
All I can show you is this mug.
You're barking.
But
my Maine Coon just left the room when everybody started picking up their cats.
Okay, wait. All right, you ready for this?
There's Lisa.
See my little guy there in front of the fireplace? Yeah.
I'm going to come visit. That's a nice place.
Yeah.
Okay. One more. Okay, here we go.
One more.
He's
Here we go.
huge.
Oh my God.
Oh, baby.
He looks like one of those grumpy cats.
Okay, back to Daddy.
Back to work.
We're going to have cow chat next week. Or cat chat, not cow chat. Okay, Let's chat.
On that way. Thank you for being with us today, everybody. On that way, I'm going to close the recording, and we hope, and then we'll stay. You're invited to stay on. We'll do a quick after party. And so, look at the dog. There's Sophia's dog. Oh my gosh, kind of fun. It's fun. We don't always take the time to kind of see it each side of that way. Here comes Tina. Tina must have something. Tina.
Oh, she's muted.
Tina.
Now we can. Okay. I just want to say hello. It sounds like you guys did a fabulous job for a first-time conference. I'm so impressed.
I think
It was great.
We'll stay on, Tina, while we close off the recording and stuff. And we'll, if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. And join us next week and with our special guest Tina down there. We're going to talk about health and writer and some creativity ideas. So that'll be great. So, and the replay for those of you that are here live, we'll try to have it up a little bit later. I never guarantee. I have to vote today. It's important to vote. I have to vote today. So at least in Ohio. So I'm going to go vote and take care of a couple things this afternoon, but I will get it up as quick as I can this afternoon on that way. So
Thank you
for being with us.
Thanks, everybody.